Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely crucial for anyone living where the temperature tanks. We always remember to budget for the crazy heating bills, and we never forget to clear the driveway, right? But we almost always overlook a massive, hidden vulnerability literally built right into our own homes. So today, we're walking through a critical winter survival guide. It's focused entirely on how to winterize your plumbing, and we're pulling this directly from the expert playbook of smart housing systems up in the North Shore of Illinois. Grab your mental notepad because we're going to build your home's defenses step by step. Our source material from Smart Housing Systems hit the nail right on the head with this one. They say plumbing is where expensive, avoidable damage can start. It is so easy to just sit inside and join that cozy warmth, totally oblivious to the creeping, invisible threat of freezing temperatures just on the other side of your drywall. When the temp drops, those exposed pipes freeze, they expand, and they literally crack open. And honestly, the worst part, you usually don't even know you have a leak until after the pipe thaws and the damage is completely done. The stakes are incredibly high, but just like the quote says, this is entirely avoidable. So here is our game plan for today. We've got 5 parts. 1. The winter plumbing threat. 2. Locating your vulnerable pipes. 3. Insulate and seal leaks. 4. Flow and temperature control. And finally, number 5, handling frozen pipe emergencies. Okay, let's jump right into part 1, the winter plumbing threat. Taking action really boils down to a straightforward 5-step process. First, you gotta find those at-risk pipes. Then, insulate and seal them. Next, protect your crawl spaces. After that, manage the water flow. And finally, you absolutely need to know your emergency steps. Prepping your plumbing ahead of time is actually super straightforward when you follow this roadmap, so we're gonna unpack every single one of these right now. Moving on to part 2, locating your vulnerable pipes. So you're gonna wanna start with a quick recon mission. Grab a flashlight and look for any plumbing that's exposed to cold air. We're talking unheated basements, crawl spaces, garages, and utility rooms. But don't just stop there. You need to check for lines running inside your exterior walls, pipes sitting near drafty windows or doors, and definitely look under any kitchen or bathroom cabinets that share a wall with the outside. Basically, these are your high-risk danger zones. All right, let's lock things down with part 3, insulate and seal leaks. Here is your first major defensive move. Once you've actually tracked down those vulnerable pipes, you have to insulate them. The source explicitly recommends grabbing some foam pipe sleeves or similar insulation. Wrapping up these exposed pipes works wonders because it drastically cuts down on those crazy temperature swings that cause the water inside to freeze and expand in the first place. But wait, insulation alone just isn't going to cut it. To truly win this battle, insulation has to be paired with air sealing. Think of it like putting on a heavy winter coat, but leaving it completely unzipped. You need to use weather stripping and caulk to seal up the gaps where pipes actually enter your home. You've got to kill the drafts coming from vents or unfinished openings. Because look, if a freezing wind blows directly onto an insulated pipe, that insulation is going to lose the battle every single time. Now we need to extend that defensive perimeter to the outside. You absolutely must disconnect every single hose from your outdoor spigots. No exceptions. Once they're off, drain any leftover water right out of those exterior lines. Plus, if your house has an outdoor shutoff valve, or if you've got crawl space plumbing sitting right up against the foundation, you need to insulate those sections too. It's all about securing the entire perimeter. Let's shift gears to part 4, flow and temperature control. When it comes to crawl spaces, consistency is the name of the game. You might be tempted to just block all the vents or stuff in a bunch of insulation, but the source gives a massive warning here. Any changes you make still have to comply with local building and moisture control best practices. You really don't want to solve a freezing problem only to invite a massive mold problem, right? And hey, if you decide to use heat tape, you have to follow the manufacturer's instructions to the letter. Improperly installing heat tape can cause uneven warming or even increase your risk of permanent damage. Okay, here's a literal zero-cost pro tip that is incredibly effective. Just open the cabinet doors under your kitchen and bathroom sinks when a cold snap hits. This simple trick lets your warm interior air circulate and actually reach the hidden plumbing on those cold exterior walls. Small actions like this slow down the freezing process simply by reducing the amount of time those pipes are trapped in sub-freezing temperatures. Now, let me ask you a question that honestly drives a lot of homeowners crazy. Does leaving a faucet dripping actually waste water? It's the classic dilemma, right? You want to save a few pennies on the utility bill, but at the same time, you're trying to prevent a catastrophic home-destroying flood. Let's just firmly debunk this myth right now. The answer is no. During extreme cold or a really prolonged freeze, you absolutely should allow a small continuous drip from a faucet that's connected to your vulnerable pipes. The text explicitly points out that this relieves pressure and massively reduces the chance of ice forming inside the line. The goal isn't to waste water, it's a calculated defense mechanism. You're just keeping the water moving enough to stop a freeze and bleed off that dangerous pressure buildup.
And look, if all else fails, you have to have a backup plan. You must ensure your home's main water shutoff valve is totally accessible, and you need to know exactly how to turn it fully off. Finding this out during an emergency is too late. Knowing the location beforehand is absolutely critical, because if a pipe's defense fails and it freezes, hitting that main shutoff is literally your only way to limit the chaos.
Finally, Part 5, handling frozen pipe emergencies. First things first, what does a breach actually look like? If a pipe is freezing, do not wait around. You're going to notice reduced water flow or maybe suddenly no water flow at all when you turn on the tap. You might hear weird, unusual noises clanking from the plumbing, or you could literally see visible frost building up on the exposed pipe sections. If you spot any of these warning signs, you've got a frozen pipe on your hands. So what's the action plan? The safest route is to warm the affected area gradually. The source is super clear on this. Absolutely no open flames. You want to thaw a pipe slowly so you don't shock it and cause a crack. And here's a crucial piece of advice you can't ignore. After the freeze is over, you have to check for leaks before returning to normal water usage. Inspect the joints, the valves, even the sections you insulated earlier. Why? Because the actual cracks often only reveal themselves after the ice melts and the water starts flowing again. Let's be real for a second. Sometimes DIY hits a wall. If you're unsure or if things start getting worse while you're trying to thaw a pipe, call a licensed plumber immediately before it cracks. The text literally hands us this 24/7 dispatcher number for smart housing systems, 224-754-1984. Having professional backup on speed dial is a massive part of your survival guide. Plus, having a pro come out for a winterization visit can help you spot those hidden vulnerabilities in your crawl spaces that you might have just completely walked past. So let me leave you with this final, vital question. Is your home's hidden plumbing truly prepared to survive the next deep freeze? Taking the time right now to inspect, insulate, and seal up your plumbing can drastically reduce your chances of dealing with a burst pipe and a wildly expensive emergency repair. Don't wait for the ice to remind you. Put this survival guide into action today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay warm out there.